Good evening. My name is Odette Ramos. I'm the chair of the Sisson Street Task Force. I'm the city councilwoman representing the 14th district. Hold on, there's an echo. 1 second. Okay, my apologies for starting late today. We had some technical issues, but we are back on track. And hopefully somebody who's online can give us the high sign that you can hear us. Okay, great, perfect, thank you. With us today, I'm gonna go down the list of the members of the task force, and then we will get started on our agenda. To my far right, I want to introduce the council members first. Councilman Jones from the 12th District, and also Councilman Torrance from the 7th District. We have also Kevin McCartney from Charles Village Civic Association. We have Jed Weeks from Bikemore. We have Samantha Horn, who's our vice chair from Greater Remington. We have Deputy Director Alan Robinson, who is representing DPW and the mayor's office. John Ellsbury, who's representing Stone Hill. Sandy Sparks, representing the Jones Falls, Friends of the Jones Falls. And also Keandra Pierre, who is representing Reservoir Hill Association. I believe online we have Blaze Ahern, who's representing Hamden Community Council. Did I miss any task force members? Okay, great. So today's agenda is what we are going to do first is we're going to hear from Director Garbark, who is the director of the Department of Public Works. He's going to show a brief presentation of all of the options that we have that DPW has been considering. I do want to just back up and give a little bit of context to make sure folks know why we're here. And I'm sorry, I'm so short. I'm sitting on a thing and I probably need a taller one. The task force was established by Mayor Scott a few weeks ago because we want to make sure that the Sisson Street drop-off center, it is not a recycling center, it is not a transfer station, it is not a dump, it is a drop-off center, and the reason why we're even having this conversation is that several years ago, the Remington neighborhood passed a master plan to redevelop the area, and it included the redevelopment of what we know as Sisson Street. We know Sisson Street as the coveted drop-off center where residents bring their recycling, their trash, hazardous waste, and electronics, and all other things. We know that our DPW workers who are there are just an amazing crew of folks that really care about our community and our city and help to serve us very well. And then the conversations had started around that time to think about, if we move this thing, where is it going to go? And then several options were put in place. Then, of course, were considered. Then COVID happened and everything has been put aside. Recently, the conversations have come back up again. There was a fast forward to August when there was a public meeting at the insistence of myself and Councilman Jones around what an alternative is looking like, because there was an opportunity to sell the property to, and so we did have that public meeting. There was a lot of feedback about the proposal that was provided, and so we all heard that feedback very well, and the mayor's office did as well, and so that's how the task force came to be. We have our 3 council members who represent that area, as well as community groups that are around that area. We had our first meeting last week. It was an organizing meeting just to get ourselves grounded, as well as look at the calendar and things like that. Tonight, our primary agenda item is to take your testimony and to hear from residents and stakeholders about what you think about the proposal that was put in place, but also after you listen to this presentation, what you think about any of the other proposals, what we should be considering as a task force when we think about this question. And again, the question is that the mayor has put to us is, what do we do with this site? Do we keep it where it is? Do we move it, and where? Or do we close it altogether? And so we're going to be exploring all 3 of those options in the course of the conversation. We are charged with bringing back a recommendation in December, but we know that we want to be thoughtful and strategic in our deliberations. So if we have to take a little longer, then we will do that. But we also want to be very thoughtful. There's a lot that goes into the consideration of this type of facility. It is, again, a coveted public facility that people really love. We also have to consider the values that DPW had just passed in their new strategic operation plan around the safety and the working conditions for our workers to make sure that they have facilities that they can be proud of, and since they do so much amazing work for us. There's money considerations in terms of how we would pay for upgrades, how we would pay for a new site. The other piece, just in terms of context, is that when we started these conversations several years ago, there was a round of meetings with community associations, particularly from the developer interested in the site. And there were 2 main themes that came out of those meetings. One is we cannot move it to a Black neighborhood, and it has to be close by if we move it. So I just wanted to set the stage for our conversation. Today, we're going to get a short presentation from the Department of Public Works about the sites that they have taken a look at if we do move the Sisson Street Center. And then each of the task force members will be able to ask 1 question. We will have a robust discussion about each of these options in our next meeting. I really want tonight to be about public testimony. We have 57 people online, and we have several people in the chamber. And it's important that we're hearing from everyone so that we can take all of your views as we go through our deliberations. So tonight is really about public testimony and hearing from residents so that we can be guided in our discussions in subsequent meetings. Our next meeting after this is going to be next Monday, and we'll announce it'll be after the council meeting, and we'll announce the location at a later date. So Director, please introduce yourself and take it away. Yes. We only have a few available, so if you want to come to the hot seat. Yeah. I also want to introduce the mayor's office is here, Dana Moore, as well as Deputy Mayor Khalil Saeed. Go ahead.
Right. So that's what I wanted to do. First of all, Dana Moore, Deputy Chief of Staff with Mayor Scott's office. First of all, I just want to acknowledge where we are. We are in the council chamber. And I want to extend thanks to the council for welcoming us into this space. It is was not expected always that a mayoral task force would be in the chamber, but we very much appreciate being here and having the resources and definitely the skill and talent of Marguerite and the council services. So I just really wanted to say thank you on behalf of Mayor Scott for allowing us to be in the chamber. Also, We are not meeting next week. We're meeting on November 10.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
And
I
location,
will announce it.
yeah, thank you. Location to be determined, probably, I mean, my suggestion is that we meet somewhere in the community, and we will work to find that location. But thank you very much. Khalil, anything? No? All right.
Thank you, Dana, and I appreciate that context. Normally, we would not have these meetings in the chamber, but because we wanted to have public testimony, this is really the only place where we could get the online, as well as the technology that we needed. Plus, there is another meeting, another public meeting going on, and so Charm TV is there taking care of that meeting. So grateful that we could have, that you could all be in this amazing place. This building is the oldest continually in use city council building in the nation. Lots of history here. We won't go into it right this second. So Director, go ahead.
Good evening. Thank you very much, Madam Chair, members of the task force. I'm Matt Garbark. I'm the Director of the Department of Public Works. For the last several years, in various capacities, whether in the mayor's office or in DPW, I have been involved in this issue. So I was asked to give some background on the different sites that we looked at. This is by no means an exhaustive list. What I'm going to be going over is 6 sites where we actually did some detailed analysis, more detailed analysis than just a cursory look. There were literally dozens of locations. People were brainstorming. As the chair mentioned, there are some very clear guidelines of where this cannot be. So obviously, sites that were in any of those areas that were considered years ago are not something that I'm putting on here. These are 6 locations where we actually did some more detailed analysis. So next slide, please. So this is the current facility, 2820 Sisson Street. It is about 5.5 acres. It is a very awkward location. It sort of looks like a dog leg or a barbell or something. It is a large parcel, but it is not laid out very well. It's kind of constrained. It's not very conducive to storage, and the ingress and egress, I'm sure everyone's been there, it's a bit serpentine and you have to kind of go around a little bit. It's very crowded. It works perfectly for us, but it is crowded. This is not a site that is optimal for us. The facility is extraordinarily old. It has electrical issues, HVAC issues, heating issues, very little office space for the supervisors. There are lots of issues with this facility. It is not a facility that we would be looking to necessarily invest in because I don't know if it can be renovated. It would probably have to be taken down and rebuilt. At this point, we are doing some cosmetic work where we're bringing in a modular trailer. It is a portable unit that can be moved to different locations to provide some locker rooms for our staff. But it is a location, it's centrally located for our crews and for the residents, but it is an area that has been degraded in terms of facility and safety. It is an awkward location. It doesn't have enough storage. It is not one of our more desirable locations. So just putting that as background, that is one of the reasons why we have really wanted to be part of this discussion, is because we are looking for an alternative, something that can actually help us to either improve the services or to at least provide the same level of service. So next slide. Go back one. So these are the 6 locations that we considered. First is a closed landfill at Monument and Edison, Monument Avenue and Edison Highway. An area up near and around Camp Small off of Cold Spring Lane. 400 West North Avenue, it's an area behind the light rail yard and facility. 560 West North Avenue, this is the Salt Dome. Specifically, there's an area right above that where the brining operation occurs and the brining vehicles are stored. Howard and 25th Street, which is about half a mile south of the current Sisson Street location. And then, of course, everyone knows about the Falls Road location. So next slide. So this is Monument and Edison Highway. This is a large parcel the city currently owns. So there'd be no acquisition costs, no lease costs. It's 28 acres. It is an extraordinarily large site. The problem with this site is really twofold. First of all, it's quite far away. It is not centrally located to Sisson Street. It is all the way in East Baltimore, and it's a closed landfill. So if we were to construct anything or have a lot of vehicle traffic traveling over that, it would be either extraordinarily expensive, or we would risk disturbing the refuse that has been capped under that. So very quickly, we believe that this was something that did have some problems and was not something that we thought was ideal. Next slide. We also then looked at the Camp Small area, and I include the Camp Small area. There's a number of different iterations, a number of different parcels, a number of different configurations that were considered. One of the first ones was actually using part of the parkland up there, the forest up there. Problem, obviously, that would cause is there's a lot of old growth trees that would have to be removed. That was very concerning for when we were considering that. We also looked at Fleischmann's Vinegar is right at the edge there. They sold that parcel a few years ago. There was some consideration about the city using that. Those parcels are not very large. They're also fitted out with large facilities on them that we would have to demolish. And there are also contamination issues from that facility, and that is right on the Jones Falls. So again, and the Cold Spring community was opposed to anything in there. There's also an issue with ingress and egress. That same area going in and out shares the access with the BG&E substation. So there was going to be a lot of potential conflicts and a lot of other issues with this location. Next slide. So this was a site that did have a lot of promise. This is 400 West North Avenue. It is a large industrial property behind the light rail facility off of North Avenue. It is centrally located. It would be a pretty good use to use some existing industrial space that really wouldn't be disruptive to much around that. And it's a large area, about 8 acres. Now, it's sort of awkwardly laid out, but it still is a large area. One thing is this is private property, so the city would have to somehow acquire it, which obviously would have a cost. But the big issues here were MTA's concerns. So MTA, their light rail operations and their control center is housed right on the south side of that red shape there. And the line where it sort of goes a 90-degree cut over and then it goes up, that's how you actually get in and out of the property. And that cut where it goes over 90 degrees actually crosses over light rail tracks. And the catenary lines run overhead. And they actually had issues with that particular site with dump trucks where the roads had been raised a little bit, actually taking the catenary lines down. So MTA was extremely concerned about that. They were also concerned about the main light rail command center being near a facility that would have hazardous materials. They were concerned from a security perspective. And this area is also going to be where the Frederick Douglass Tunnel is going to be constructed. And in that area, and I'll show you when we get to the 400, the Salt Dome, there's going to be a lot of construction, and the Amtrak was looking to stage construction vehicles in the MTA parking lot. So you would add to the ingress and egress problem a lot of construction vehicles from Amtrak in there as well. The other thing is this was the only way in and out. There is a way out at the north side, but that was a very narrow lane with a bridge that we didn't know if it could support full traffic. So next slide. So this was another area where we had some considerable discussion about. It is 560 West North Avenue. This is where the Salt Dome is. It's the central location for DOT operations, for winter operations specifically. This is an area just above the Salt Dome. It's right in that crest, the crescent of the clover leaf there. It is a smaller site, only about 2 acres. So all we would be able to do there would be to have the drop-off location. But the issues that did arise when we looked into this in more detail is that terrain is very steep. So there'd have to be a fairly significant retaining wall constructed to support the traffic, the trucks, all of that. That would actually expand into the area close to the Salt Dome. There was a lot of concern about whether the trucks going in and around the Salt Dome, they go in and they circulate around, could actually make that turn once the retaining wall was built, that it'd have to be so far and the excavation would be so significant. Also, DOT's brining operation is located in this facility. They would have to be relocated. They were also crunched for space, as they also had to relocate from their facility down on Falls Road, which has all but been condemned as well. So they had a lot of concerns about where their facility, where vehicles would be located. There was also concerns about ingress and egress. Everything on the site goes in and out one direction. And if you know this site, when you come off of it, people sometimes go around fairly quickly. There was some concern about site distance, people coming off and having more traffic turning in and out of the facility. The biggest issue of all is probably the Frederick Douglass Tunnel, right smack in this area. That is supposed to be a ventilation shaft for the tunnel. So that sort of threw everything up in the air then once that was determined with that. So next slide. Howard and 25th. So this is about a half a mile south of the current Sisson Street location. This is an area that was centrally located. It was a large open area. We could do a lot of storage there. There was also a fairly new and in very good shape building facility that we thought would be great for our workers there. The issue is MTA is leasing this facility. They use it as a bus depot and a bus transfer station. It is very close to residential property, and there was concern from the community when this was broached. So this area had some issues as well, but it was something where it did meet a lot of our needs when we looked at it. Next slide. And the last one is, I'm sure everyone is aware of the Falls Road location. It's a little smaller than the current location. It is actually right on the back side of that green area to the right is Sisson Street itself. It's about 4.3 acres. It is more open. It is centrally located, close to where Sisson Street is, and would still be accessible to a lot of places. It would remove some of the deteriorating equipment and other things that are there that are, the area is not in good condition. It would need to be repaved. Issues that we have found, obviously, is we don't own it. There'd have to be some sort of acquisition or lease. This is also, as has been discussed, partially located in the floodplain, which does raise some concerns. It is close to the Jones Falls, as well as the future streetcar museum, and there would be increased traffic on Falls Road, which, as has been discussed, is a primarily scenic route where there'd be a lot more traffic on that. So those are the 6 locations. In a nutshell, very quickly, I'd be happy to answer any question. And again, I'm not offering what's good, what's bad. This is just our analysis of what we thought could work and what couldn't work.
Thank you very much, Director. I really appreciate your summary. And I know that we'll probably get deep into each one at our next meeting, but I did want to allow for task force members to ask one question if you have one. And you may not tonight, and we have some more discussion later, and that's totally fine. So I'll start first with the vice chair, and then the council members, and then the rest of the task force. Samantha, did you have a question?
Not at this time.
Councilman Torrance, do you have a question?
No, ma'am.
Councilman Jones? Okay. Kevin, do you have a question?
Stop sharing.
Oh, thank you.
Do you have information on who is the current owner of the 400 West North Avenue site? Is it MTA?
400, I would have to get that.
Okay.
I'm not entirely sure. I don't recall. It was a couple years ago we were looking at, but I can get that and provide it back to the committee, to the task force.
I'm sorry, we want to just capture what is the question that you need to get
The-
back to
the
us.
owner of the
current owner
400,
of the 400 West North Avenue. We might be able to look it up right now, but we'll take a look at it. Okay, thanks. Jed?
Jed Weeks of Bikemore. Could you maybe get from MTA, if you don't know the answer, My understanding is it's not the main light rail branch, but it's the track that goes into the maintenance yard. Like how many trains per day are utilizing that during the hours this would be operational and what the catenary height is?
I could get all that. I don't know that offhand.
great.
Jed,
happy
just
to.
for clarity, is that for the 400 West
Yes.
North Avenue site? So you're asking about some of the MTA usage of that site at the moment? Okay. Amtrak owns it, great. My colleague just looked it up online, we'll get the solid answer for everybody. Okay. I want to make sure that Mary Ann Henderson, she's representing the Midtown Benefits District. If you have a question?
Jen, hold on. On the site at Howard and 25th, you said there was community concern. Was that the primary reason that you're not considering?
I don't know if that was a primary, I think one of the big issues is MTA was already there, and they wanted to stay there because they didn't have another facility for their bus depot. So that was one of the reasons, but it was also the MTA being there.
So does the MTA actually own the site, or is it being leased?
No, they're being leased, it's privately owned.
And who,
Did you
oh,
wanna
it's
say something?
privately owned, okay.
Oh, it also was more expensive. So it was a more expensive parcel than some of the other areas because it is in a more prominent focus location.
You need to put your microphone on. Just push the button. Oh, okay, so that microphone may not work. Come to District 14 desk.
Hello?
Yep.
Okay, good. That's better. Yeah, just wanted to add one more thing about the lease cost. The lease cost right now is roughly, that the MTA is paying is roughly $500,000 a year, between $450,000 to $500,000 per year. So I just wanted to let everybody.
That's insane.
Yep.
Sorry, did I say that? Director, can you repeat that? Director, can you repeat that again, please?
Yeah. Again, Khalil Zaid, Deputy Mayor for Operations. Yeah, the discussing with others, my understanding that the amount of dollars that MTA pays right now is roughly $450,000.
If you could come back to us with the exact cost, that would be super. Okay. And the ownership also, although I think I know. Okay, great. We'll go to this side. Deputy Director? Okay. John? No questions? You have a question? Go ahead. Pass the microphone down to her, please. We just have a few microphones working here because we just had a council meeting.
Okay, can you hear me?
I can.
My first question is, what is the cost of demolition and rebuild at the existing site? So you said right now at Sisson Street, it would require complete demolition and rebuild. What would be the cost of that?
We got some, we haven't looked at that in a lot of detail. We did get some basic numbers. Did we get that back yet, Alan, do you know? Obviously, it would be very back of the envelope type stuff, but.
Yeah, there are some back of the envelopes, so we're in about the 40 million range right now.
40 million?
40
Yes.
million?
Yeah, so, but, as I said, that's in comparison to some of the other sites that we're currently working on, so we do have engineers providing us a true estimate on what it would cost now for the materials to do a renovation there.
And is that a big difference between what it will cost when you relocate to build? Would it still be in the range of 40 million?
We're hoping that it's not,
It would be less.
yes.
If there's a facility that's ready to go, it would be considerably
Less.
Okay. And of course, when we discuss the sites, we'll be able to
Yes.
get the.
Right, if you could make sure, try to have a solid number to us for the next meeting, so
We
we
will
can
do that. We're
continue.
currently working on that right now. We
Okay.
just were not able to have it this evening.
No, that's fine, just want to make sure we get that for
Understood.
next. Okay,
Thank
go
you.
ahead, keep going.
And then you mentioned some were too small or too, do you have a sense of what the ideal size of a site would be?
Yeah, not exactly, because 5.5 acres is a large site, and it
It
normally would be perfectly fine for our facility. It's just constrained in sort of the design that it's located in. So if we were looking at roughly 4 to 5 acres as a minimum, and having it more as an open space location area. That's what we're really thinking of, because we'd want to store a lot of our roll-off containers there as well. That would be the big thing, is storage for our fleet and for the roll-off containers, which we're really constrained right now with Sisson Street.
Because of the shape of
Because of
this?
the shape, yeah.
Okay. And then, is the current location of Sisson Street abutting residential housing?
I would defer to those who are in the community. It's obviously, there's a lot of interest for the property, a lot of potential development interest. There's a lot of mixed use in the neighborhood. This is an operation, DPW always wants to maintain its operation, but if there's a way to get property back on the tax rolls and we can make sure all our operations are sufficient and provided for, we'd be very happy to do that.
Actually, just for context, across the street from Sisson is the Overstock building and a few other buildings there. Those are slated for redevelopment, and it's mixed use that
So
will
it's
be there.
potential.
Samantha, you can correct me if I'm wrong. And so the idea was that the community and the potential developer who might be interested in this was thinking about that site. So, and then down the street, on one side is 29th Street, the north side, and you pass a lot of houses, and then there's some houses about a block away. So there are people who walk to use the facility.
Right.
And on 28th Street, it's the same type of situation where there's houses close by, and a park a gas station and a park that the community is. So it's in a community.
Okay, but there's potential that it could, in the future, be used for residential? Yeah. Okay.
I would say yes, it's directly adjacent to housing.
Yeah, I
And
was just
believe-
asking because some of the options were ruled out because it abutted residential, so I just wanted to get a sense of,
Sure.
to compare. Yep. okay.
Yes, I would say it's directly adjacent, and the plan for the neighborhood is to build more housing right there.
Great, thanks for that context. Since not everybody had a question, do you have another? Go ahead.
Quick question, from an operating standpoint, you feel as though it's in the best interest for the city to lease or own the land? Do you have a preference or an idea what will work best as far as like operating, as far as the future and looking at what's best for the department?
So I think it's to be determined. I think either would work for us. We'll make whatever works work. It obviously, owning is something that comes with its own benefits, but there is a significant cost to it. We would own everything, we'd have to maintain it. Leasing does provide the ability to be a bit more flexible, where we could ensure the facilities are being provided for our workers without having to do it all ourselves and then having them fall into disrepair. So there's something to be said for both. Leasing is probably going to be a bit more expensive than if we were to own it outright, long-term that is. Though buying would be more expensive up front. So I think there's costs and benefits to both. Either one, it would serve us operationally.
So currently, the department really doesn't have a preference regarding one or the other? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, that's a great question. Just a couple of housekeeping items before we go into testimony. First of all, if you have I forgot to say earlier, if you have your cell phones, please put them on silent. And that way we're not hearing, your rings for whoever as we're going through this. Director, thanks very much for taking the time with us. Yes, please. That would be great. So we're going to start on public testimony. We're going to start with the folks that are in the chamber, and then we will ask folks online, if you do want to testify, that you use the raise hand function, which is the function at the bottom of the screen, and it has a little hand and it says raise, so that we know that you want to testify. Everyone will be given 2 minutes, please, to testify. We will have a timer, I believe. If not, we've got our timer. And we are really interested in hearing your thoughts. Some of you have just seen this presentation for the first time, so you might have other thoughts afterwards. We're happy to take that feedback. I believe that there will be a link on the city's website that will have all the documentation That's typical for the task forces, right? And we'll get that out so that you can see the presentation publicly, any written testimony as well. This particular video of the site of this meeting will also be online on the Charm TV YouTube, so that if you want to go back and view it, you'll be able to do so. And that's typical for all of the council meetings and Board of Estimates and all the really important meetings. We make sure that that's recorded. So we'll go ahead. Do we have a sign-in sheet? I don't have any. Okay, well, what we're gonna do, because I don't have the sign-in sheets in front of, oh, here they are, great, perfect. I'm gonna go down the list for folks that have signed in to testify. If you didn't happen to sign in, don't worry, we'll make sure that you get a chance to testify. And then we'll go to virtual. The way that testimony works is that we'd love to hear from you. You can ask your questions, but we're probably not gonna answer them. We'll write them down and make sure that we get the answers to you. Or they could be questions that we should be considering in our deliberations, and we certainly would appreciate that input. So the first I have on the list, I have Ellen O'Brien, but I don't know if she wants to testify. Go ahead. Yes, ma'am, if you can come to the podium, push the button that looks like a little person. Ms. O'Brien, you're gonna have to push the button so that we can hear you. There you
I'm
go.
Ellen O'Brien.
Perfect, thank you.
And I have a question for this gentleman right here. And that was, when you think of the Sisson Street site, have you thought about purchasing the lot on the corner to make that facility larger and more convenient and less strangely configured?
That's a question that we'll certainly follow up with them
Okay.
on. Just to be clear, which lot are you looking at?
If you're facing the facility, it's at the left. It's the one on the corner.
Boom Factory. That is currently privately owned.
Is it? But I think it's had a for sale sign on. I've picked up trash there. Anyways, I'm Ellen O'Brien. I've worked in the recycling and solid waste industry for about 5 years before living in Baltimore, and I've been here for 31 years. I've been picking up trash in the city for 31 years. In fact, today a group of us picked up 15 bags at Northern Parkway and Falls Road. So anyway, so I've been doing stream cleanups, you know, chairing Friends of Luckman Park, blah, 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 and on, and oh, I'm sorry. So I have done a lot of cleanups, and I have been to that Sisson Street facility probably more than anybody almost in this room, I would bet. And as a result, because I have an old pickup that I use for these trash pickups. Anyways, it's convenient, it's easy to get in and out of, the guys are nice, and I don't want you to move it. And if it is to be moved, one site that hasn't been considered, that isn't on your list of 6, is there is a defunct school permanently closed on Green Spring Avenue between Cold Spring and Northern Parkway. It's called the Roland Patterson School. And it's a huge facility, and there are no neighbors on 2 of the sides of it, because I pick up trash there too. Anyways, but ultimately, I find it conflicting because you say it's a store. No, you said it was a drop-off center, but you say it's a storage center. And so from my experience, it is a storage center because all the waste doesn't leave it right away. And so it's not, to put it at the Potts Callahan property is so wrong on so many levels because it is in a floodplain. And almost any any environmental regulations will prevent that from happening. It just, unless you're going to go under the Donald Trump thing of the fact that he's thrown away the whole EPA regulations. But I urge you not to put it there. It's one of the things that wasn't also noted on it was the fact that it's a potential greenway now, and that wasn't in one
Ms.
of the.
O'Brien, we need to keep going, so
Oh, I need to quit?
just wrap up.
Okay. The other one, I would say Anderson, but really I want you to leave it where it is. Because otherwise, I don't want it to go away, because otherwise there'll be massive dumping throughout the city, because I've seen it in my 31 years in picking up trash and taking care of the parks.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Appreciate your thoughts. Charles Baker?
Hi, I'm a resident of Charles Village, and I've lived there for 20 years, beyond 20 years. And I think part of the dialogue with respect to this facility is its tremendous value to the community. I mean, when I first moved into my house, I had to do a lot of my own renovation. I couldn't really afford to pay someone to do it. So I was able to use the facility to drop off construction materials and therefore improve my house and improve the neighborhood as a result. If you think about any contractor that comes to your house, any renovation that is done, the speed at which they can go and deliver whatever house debris is left over during demolition actually lowers your cost. What's tremendous about the Sisson Street, yes, it's very convenient for me. Quite independent of that, it's very convenient for an incredible amount of people. It's right there on 83. It's you come off, you don't have to drive through the neighborhood. It actually is lowering the overall renovation costs for huge swaths of the city. I think a lot of the sites that you consider, particularly Falls Road, is not at all centrally located. I mean, it's very difficult to get to. I was curious about the ones on North Avenue because they're right adjacent to 83, but then you're like describing how difficult it is to get there. I mean, you really should be thinking about this as a tremendous resource that the city is giving to help homeowners and those who are renovating houses as a way to lower their costs to improve the city. And we just heard about trash delivery and trash pickup. How's my minutes? 12 seconds. I'm going to wind up right there. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Appreciate your time coming down. Eben Bowen?
Hello, my name's Evan. I've been here a couple times. I'm sure some of y'all recognize me because I've gone to this meetings for this for at least 3 or 4 at this point now. And everything I've seen from every meeting has just been people opposed. It seems that the only really, the huge, force for making this, happen seems to be the seawall development. And yes, it's nice to have redevelopment within the neighborhood, but it does not seem to be really shining towards the people that live within the city, the people that live within the community, especially of where these areas are being relocated to. I think the new area, Jones Falls, is just a terrible spot. I've said it many times on the record at this point, and a lot of other people said it many times on the record. It would be extremely dangerous for all of the residents of the community to have large industrial trucks and vans and stuff coming through. It is widely used by cyclists, runners, hikers, animals, all that kind of stuff. That is just not something that we can do to, harm our city. And I think it is a major step backward in terms of trying to preserve the city's ecosystem, trying to preserve the beauty of the city. We've done so much strides of water quality, all that kind of stuff, and the people can swim in the harbor now. And if we have a, transfer station at the top of the Jones Falls, toxic waste can be going right back into the harbor. People can't swim in it, or they'll get 3 eyes or something. But thank you.
Thank you so much. Appreciate your time coming down. Pierce Duffel?
Hello, thank you for giving us the opportunity to speak. My name is Piers. I live in Baltimore. I bike, walk, socialize, and drive on Jones Falls basically every day. Building closer to Jones Falls feels like a mistake our city will have to undo in years to come, as many other cities have found after they have neglected and paved over their waterways. A drop-off station will increase truck and through traffic on one of the few slightly safe places to bike in this city. Some estimates suggest that about 300 trucks will be added to weekend traffic. That might have something more to do with the distinction between drop-off and dump, but that would put a lot of cyclists in a lot of danger. The city is actively trying to improve bike infrastructure and reduce fatalities. This feels like several steps backwards. Similarly, as the city tries to clean the harbor, relocating the drop-off station closer to the falls feels like another step backward from livability improvements. The site is close to a public waterway where foxes, box turtles, owls, migratory yellow-crested night herons live and breed, and others have noted the site is in a floodplain, which would put them all at risk. The needs of the non-human people within our city need to be considered as well. A drop-off station, the resulting traffic, litter, and air pollution will do them no favors. We have an opportunity to protect and improve our waterways, build our green spaces, and avoid making mistakes future generations will look upon with dismay after they have to clean up after us. Please consider protecting Jones Falls. We talk of costs of rebuilding and relocating, but we are neglecting to consider the opportunity cost we pay by further degrading our public waterways. Thank you for letting me speak.
Thank you so much for coming down today. Danielle Deckford? Danielle? Hi.
Okay. Hi, my name is, can you hear me now? Okay.
Yes.
My name is Danielle Deckard. I've been a homeowner in the 7th District in Hamden for 20 years. Thank you for this opportunity. But I want to point out it's a poorly timed opportunity for public testimony as we just were given information on the alternative sites. I hope that the task force is given information about more so on the potential benefits, drawbacks, costs of the other site, the potential revenue from the sale and increased tax base of the Sisson Street property if sold, what's environmentally or structurally possible there given its history as a field inquiry, the cost of leasing the Potts and Callahan site, we don't have that information. But putting the facility in a floodplain, jeopardizing the environmental recovery of the Jones Falls watershed, putting significant additional traffic onto Falls Road, which is an important multi-use corridor for residents, business patrons, cyclists, walkers. The investment to the trail, the environment there doesn't make sense. Those recreational opportunities can't be replicated elsewhere. The Baltimore Streetcar Museum has plans to grow. That's another opportunity for the city to shine. One of the other sites mentioned, 25th and Howard, that's owned by Seawall. That wasn't mentioned. They have the opportunity to provide amenities to Remington, Charles Village, Old Goucher by developing those sites that they already own that are underutilized. The site that Anderson Hunter building is blighted, covered with graffiti, has an open housing code violation notice. So there's an opportunity for development there. There's an opportunity to Sisson Street to stay where it is, to be improved. And I hope that all of these things are considered to see what can provide the best benefit to all of the affected communities.
Thank you so much for coming down. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Anthony Ferreros, Pacific Street.
Hi, my name is Anthony Fotinos. I'm a resident of Stonehill, just a block away from the Sisson Street facility. This is my third meeting that I've attended on this topic, and each time, I'm sure many of us have served on juries here in Baltimore, and every time I'm reminded of it's as if this is in a court of public opinion. There's clear status quo that the one thing we didn't hear about the Sisson Street facility, we heard about some supervisors who are dissatisfied with their current office arrangement, but we did not hear that it's the most popular trash convenience facility by far in the city, and that's what we're hearing today. And so when you have a status quo, a public good that's working, and I'm reminded of a jury duty where the prosecutor just stands up and says, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I rest my case. The prosecutor saying this. I mean, the burden of persuasion here belongs to belongs to Seawall. Seawall needs to make a case, and Seawall is AWOL. Seawall is AWOL from all these meetings. They're not showing up. And so I'm open-minded. If Seawall made a strong case about why, with all the buildings they own, they couldn't, they can't start building there, they can't start developing unless they purchase a private good and they have a good plan for what to do with it. I mean, I'd be open to listening, but they're not here. No one is making that case. So in the absence of the person and the entity with the burden meeting their burden, everyone should be just opposed. I mean, it's the presumption here has got to be that the burden is on the private entity who wants to take away a public good. We've just seen our White House smashed to oblivion. So this idea that public goods are public goods, the burden has to be, you have to make a very strong case to give away a public good, and no one's even making that case. So the one thing I would ask is that after Seawall has had an opportunity to make a case, which I'm assuming they're going to do, and if they don't, again, I think it's malpractice. But if they do, I would ask that this public, session be rescheduled so that we can actually provide public comment on after a case has been made and not before it's been made.
Thank you. Just to clarify, we will have more public meetings with public comment, but more specifically around maybe some of our recommendations. So this isn't the last time that you get a chance, okay? Thank you. Thanks so much. Emma Dunbar?
Hi there, and thank you so much for the opportunity to speak. I'm here to speak against the moving of the, the site to the Falls Road site. When I heard about that proposal to move it to the Falls Road site, I thought I had woken up in the 1800s. Like, let's move the dump next to a major waterway in a floodplain. What could go wrong? Meanwhile, we're going to barbers for bloodletting for COVID. It's like the same logic. And I feel like that's the age of the logic that you have to subscribe to be in favor of the moving to the floodplain. No one who spends time in and values this ecological resource wants any part of this, and I feel like that should say everything. None of the organizations that host regular volunteer cleanups or weeding, like Friends of Jones Falls, are in support of that. The Streetcar Museum just received a grant for $165,000. I'd say they're not in favor of having their efforts cut off at the neck. And traffic possibly being closed in that section of Falls Road. I'm not in favor of that. It's one of the, if not the oldest, one of the city's oldest historic byways. I'm a resident who regularly commutes Falls Road, walks the trail, visits the museum, or just takes a pause at the water as an act of grounding, of honoring the history of the byway and the resilience of the watershed, and the stewards who have worked tirelessly to restore it after it was abused by unchecked industrialism and lack of protections. Today on my walk, I stopped at the proposed sites. Do you know how many steps it is from the water? It's 20. It's 20 steps from the water. So as a community member, I stand in staunch opposition. I think it sends the city backwards. And if you ignore the community's wishes and the well-being of our city because Seawall's promises spoke louder than reason, I'm wondering if you'll again revert to the 19th century misunderstandings of science and blame miasma or bad air for all of the negative effects that this will have on our communities and on the Chesapeake Bay. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Dick Williams?
Good evening. Thank you, Task Force, for the work that you're doing. I appreciate it. I'm Dick Williams. I live in Bolton Hill. And if you'll permit me, I want to read what I have to say. So I'd like to set a very bad idea aside, moving a trash and recycling drop-off to the edge of Lower Jones Falls, and yes, in a floodplain, to focus your hearts and minds on the possibility of something I'll call Jones Falls Park, in the place of the industrial Potts and Callahan Yard, and to either direction on Falls Road along the Jones Falls Trail. Rather than a permanent failure of corporate imagination for all to see and know about Baltimore, Jones Falls Park would be a win at 3 levels at least. First, and most importantly, a win for protecting the stream from further degrading by turning the old, nagging habit of putting our waterways at risk to human pollution into actual respect, no exceptions, for their vital planet-sustaining attributes. Included is the opportunity for a significant de-pave at the Potts and Callahan property and installation of a major green infrastructure intercept from the easterly uphill hardscape at Sisson Street into Remington. Second, a win for you and me who need spaces to breathe, much less thrive through the bustle and challenges of urban life. And third, a win by virtue of some 4 additional acres of new natural landscaping framing the popular Baltimore Streetcar Museum, now in early stage of restoring the historic Ma and Pa Railroad Roundhouse as its center of operations. I can personally testify about the users of the Jones Falls Trail between the Baltimore Bicycle Workshop and the turn uphill at Falls Road towards Druid Hill Park. Having spent 40 some odd Saturday mornings since November 2023 with like-minded weed warriors working diligently to spare the tree canopy along the Jones Falls of choking non-native invasive vines, I can tell you I see Baltimoreans of most all social-economic categories using that stretch of the Jones Falls Trail for recreation, exercise, and learning. I can say this because I've interacted with many of them who pause to thank us for our dedication or want to offer to help. Baltimore, you have a special opportunity being revealed. The roughly 2/3 mile stretch of the Jones Falls Trail along the embankment of the Jones Falls is a jewel that should be now in the making through world-class landscape design and philanthropic efforts toward a healthy expanse of parkland for our enjoyment and that of generations
Thank you, Mr. Williams.
of dwellers to come. Thank you.
Thank you. Ren Dodge? Ren, there you are.
Hello, my name is Ren Dodge. I live in Charles Village, and I've used the Sisson Street site for getting rid of couches and things like that. And it's a good site. But really what I wanted to bring is a new piece of information that hasn't been discussed yet. And that is, we all know that this proposed Sisson transfer site to 2801 Falls Road is going to impact the Jones Falls by putting it in the floodplain. But what hasn't been mentioned is that this actually lies in the floodplain of 2 streams. The other one is called Stony Run. And the site, and it flows directly underneath both the Sisson Street site existing and the proposed new site at Potts and Callahan at 2801. So there's the buried stream that is Stony Run, and this is a cherished stream that runs through Roland Park, and it runs through along between Hamden and Johns Hopkins. There, it has been the subject of much restoration efforts, a testimony to how important the stream is, and has these restoration efforts clean the water, and we could expand those restoration efforts by daylighting Stony Run at the sites of the Sisson Street transfer station and the Potts and Callahan site. Daylighting or removing the tunnel and restoring Stony Run would be like a centerpiece of this new Jones Falls Park that I think is in a lot of people's minds, that this could be a beautiful greenway through our city. And so it's not just a greenway for Jones Falls, but we can have a confluence there between two streams. And this restored confluence ecosystem could generate lots of benefits in addition to parkland for people. It's habitat for special wildlife like the yellow-crowned night herons and the red-backed salamanders and foxes, and wetlands can be critical in filtering pollution, meeting the Baltimore's discharge limits. And this expanded park near Remington and Hamden, which are already thriving cultural hubs, is just the ideal next step for urban renewal in this area.
Thank you. Bernardo Vigil.
Hi, excuse me. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Bernardo Vigil. I'm a resident of the 14th and one of the owners of Baltimore Bicycle Works, which is really the capacity I'm speaking in today. As a representative of the Baltimore Bicycle Works ownership, I'm speaking to oppose the relocation of the drop-off center to the Jones Falls Valley. While I'm not opposed to the relocation or closure of the drop-off center in principle, I have deep concerns about the proposed site on the Jones Falls Valley for both ecological and business reasons. Having owned a business on the falls for over a decade, I know firsthand that this area is not just in a theoretical floodplain, it floods multiple times a year. The falls already has problems with sewage overflow, and I don't think we need to add trash to the equation, especially because I do frequently see kids and teenagers go down and wade in the water, ill-advised as that may be. And furthermore, I believe that the relocation of the drop-off center to this site would be extremely harmful to my business. The increased truck traffic would make access to our shop much more dangerous by bike and much more inconvenient by car. I'm concerned about having dump trucks and debris from dump trucks around people biking, especially at night. Since Baltimore lacks in bike infrastructure, the Falls Road serves as an important north-south connecting corridor for cycling, despite this road being notoriously poorly lit. Adding trucks and the bits of metal and glass that they would inevitably drop would be a safety issue for everyone involved. Finally, the last time traffic along the Falls Road corridor was restricted, we saw an immediate and extremely deleterious drop-off in customer traffic. The car and truck traffic would make access to our shop much more difficult, dangerous, and unpleasant. We're now the only bicycle shop outside of Mount Washington, and maintaining access to our shop is extremely important for the thousands of Baltimore residents who rely on our shop to maintain their transportation. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Appreciate the time you take to come down here. Jacob Taswell.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jacob Taswell, and thanks for this opportunity to give testimony. I live in Hamden. I bike to work every day in Mount Vernon. I do not own a car, so my bike is my only way to work, and I would not like to be killed or seriously injured on my way to work, so it's very important to me to keep that route safe for me and for everyone else who uses that for biking and other forms of pedestrian or non-car mobility. In addition to that, I'd like to echo and reinforce some other comments that have been made about the opportunity cost, the short-sightedness of using this site for waste drop-off when this really could become an extremely special and kind of unique asset for Baltimore City as a whole. This is the closest thing that I think the city has to the Capitol Crescent Trail in Washington, D.C., and it has huge potential to be a recreational asset, a natural ecological asset, and a cultural asset because of the presence of the streetcar museum and then the historic mills further up Falls Road. I think we really ought to be thinking big picture here about how amazing this could be for our city if we were to create a greenway and a cultural corridor that would connect the Station North Arts District to the mills, the artist studios, the galleries and art collectives in Hamden and Woodbury. And I would just like to emphasize that I feel that the way that we're looking at these sites from such a zoomed in scale ought to be rethought entirely, and we should be zooming out to really understand the larger urban context that we're talking about with this issue. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Daniel Dykes?
Good evening, y'all. My name is Daniel Dykes. I'm a resident of Reservoir Hill. Before I came here, I work in BCPS and talked to a lot of middle schoolers about this plan. And it became pretty apparent that you don't put a dump next to a stream. Like bless Brandon Scott and bless y'all's hearts. Also, there's not one environmental or water quality expert between none of y'all. Which is I would think would be required for a task force. Not to say there's a lot of expertise here in the room, but it also doesn't take, I had literal 4th and 5th graders tell me, bruh, that plan is cooked, in their words. So you can giggle about it all you want, but it doesn't take a rocket science to figure out that this is a terrible idea. I was working at La Cuchara during the Ellicott City flood of 2018, and I looked out and watched 20 cars be washed away within 10 minutes, and that will happen again. There's a Category 5 hurricane in the Gulf right now. If we get rainfall like that, it will flood again. And if you put a dump there, that's all gonna end up in the harbor, and you're gonna have 3 more Mr. Trash wheels just to clean that shit up. Excuse me. Falls Road is crumbling. There's sinkholes that are waiting to sink at any moment. And if I had a quarter for the amount of times I have almost died cycling on that road already, I'd probably have just enough to pay for the parking that I had to do to get in here, which is $15, which is ridiculous and prevents a lot of actual public participation. Also, please do not change the time whenever you come up with a time for this. It went from 7 to 6:30. Don't do that. I saw this somewhat framed as something about workers' conditions. DPW only cared about workers' conditions after someone died on someone's doorstep. So don't even try to frame that as y'all caring about workers' conditions. But yeah, I guess the middle schoolers wanted to ask why? Why is this happening? And I told them it's because of seawall development. And obviously they had a lot of follow-up questions that I could not answer, but that is why we are here. Whether or not they want to put another mediocre milquetoast food court there or whatever idea they want to put there, it is not worth it. The herons and the kingfishers, the box turtles, the foxes, they cannot speak for themselves. But water is life, and you all need water. We all need water. And if you continue to crap or put trash wherever you need that water, then you will reap what you sow. And so I just want to warn everybody that don't put a dump next to a stream, for God's sake. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, I appreciate it. I do apologize on the time issue. I thought that we had cleared that up when we sent out the notice, but we will absolutely do better. Okay, Andrew Van Stein.
Thank you for holding this. Andrew Van Stein, I've lived in Hamden for 38 years. My objection is a much bigger picture. I think we're beginning a very bad tradition in Baltimore where the city is selling its patrimony, its natural patrimony, to private developers. I don't think we would be here if it weren't for the fact that a large development doesn't want to have a trash dump in their view shed, and that sets a very, very bad precedent. The municipal corporation doesn't own an enormous amount of property, but all I see around us is vacant lots. With all due respect, most of the objections you had to those thumbnail sketches of alternate sites, I think were mostly surmountable with good design, clever design. And so it really troubles me that after the Inner Harbor, this is another instance of something that is irreplaceable being sold to local developers to make their life easy or better for them. I also believe that there is a potential, there are many potentials on that site that will be problematic. To do what they want to do will require massive infill. The broom factory is halfway down the hill. The 100-plus-year-old tunnel that feeds Stony Run into the Jones Falls runs directly beneath this site. Has anybody decided or have determined what the engineering impact of putting a huge amount of landfill to level that off for the parking lot would be? I'm agnostic on whether the site is moved or not. It is convenient. When I renovated my house, I couldn't put my waste there. I had to drive to Curtis Bay, and I was happy to do so. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thank you. Jennifer McKenzie?
Hi there, thank you. My name is Jennifer McKenzie. I am a resident of the Remington neighborhood on 27th Street, just a few blocks away from the current transfer station location. I'm also a staff member with the Greater Remington Improvement Association, and part of my job is to organize regular community cleanups in the neighborhood surrounding the current transfer station. And for the past nearly 3 years, I've organized those cleanups with volunteers from the neighborhood to address a variety of cleanup needs. And there's two main points that I would like to make for the task force consideration. We've fairly heard today about how convenient and popular the current location is, but I've also seen firsthand the negative consequences of having that center in our neighborhood. When people are rightly turned away from the center for bringing items that the center does not accept, such as hazardous materials, electronics, and commercial waste, construction waste, more of those items end up illegally dumped in the surrounding blocks and alleys of Remington. In our community cleanups, we found plenty of car tires, couches, pieces of broken vehicles, a literal kitchen sink, multiple times essentially truckfuls of waste from construction projects. We've also found cans of paint, oil, and other hazardous materials. And our neighbors can only do so much with 311 calls and with our regular cleanup efforts to address this issue. Moving the drop-off center would be a benefit for Remington, and I personally would rather have more neighbors on that block than continued illegal dumping. However, the reality is that this kind of illegal dumping is likely to follow any relocation of the center. So this is one of the biggest reasons why I think a move down to the Jones Falls is not a good idea. And I appreciate that the task force is considering the potential effects on the communities impacted by any move of the center. We can't just shunt this illegal dumping problem that we have in Remington to another underserved Baltimore neighborhood where other community needs would compound the problem. And we certainly can't divert it to the watershed of the Jones Falls. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'm going to call the next three so that we can kind of move this along. Matt Williams, Lee Davis, and Tim Servey. We'll start with Mr. Williams. And if you would go ahead and line up in the aisle there behind him so that we can don't take the traveling time.
Thank you,
Hi.
Councilwoman. How are you?
Good. How are you? Thanks for being here.
Doing well, thank you, and thank you for the time. My name is Matthew Williams. I am a resident and homeowner in the neighborhood of Remington. It's a neighborhood I love, and I'm all in on in many ways. I'm also a business owner within the neighborhood of Remington. I own and co-own the business called Mount Royal Soaps, which is just a couple blocks away from Sisson Street. I'm also here in a third capacity. I'm representing the many businesses within the neighborhood of Remington. Many of you might have heard of a few of them. One is Auto Bar, another is Bee Willow, Our House. There's many really fantastic businesses within the neighborhood. So I wanted to provide a testimony representing them today. The businesses of Remington believe that the Sisson Street site is not the best and highest use of this site. We support increased density and pedestrian-focused development across Remington and all of central Baltimore as these new neighbors drive the local economy and grow our businesses. We similarly agree with neighbors, advocates, and community members that the Falls Road site is both hugely negative from an environmental perspective and in many ways worse than the current site at Sisson Street. And let me be clear, we definitely do not like the site moving towards Jones Falls. We believe that Jones Falls has tremendous potential for green space for Remington and the entire city. We support the closure of this site and would ask the city to find remedies where this does not impact other communities in any negative or environmental way. While other communities may want the site to be open, we ask that the businesses across the city consider the downside of this site in your community. And if you are unable to find a suitable alternate location in your community, then you not continue to force this site to stay open in Remington. And finally, I would like to close and mention that we deeply appreciate the hard work that the city employees complete every day to ensure that the city stays clean and the businesses can stay open. The workers of the DPW at this site continue to be wonderful neighbors, and we believe that the tax revenue generated by our businesses should be used to provide safe, clean, and respectful working conditions for our city workers. So, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Mr. Davis?
Thank you. My name is Lee Davis. I'm the co-executive director of the Center for Creative Impact at MICA, the Maryland Institute College of Art. Thank you to all of you on the task force. I think this is a really important development in this conversation. I'm here to express my deep opposition to the relocation of the Sisson Street facility to Falls Road. As many of you may know, MICA's campus quite literally goes across the Jones Falls. And our 200-year history is very much intertwined with that of the watershed. And we're working very hard as a college with a real deep commitment to the Jones Falls as a part of our campus and a part of our ecosystem. I want to just make three really quick points. I co-authored an op-ed in the Baltimore Sun in mid-September, which maybe that can be on record because I can't go into all of the details. But I think that the 3 points that I'd like to make is that I think when the news came out of this idea of relocating the Sisson Street facility to the Falls Road, it kind of felt like the carpet had been pulled out from beneath all of us. You know, there are many, many organizations and people and institutions who are committing hours and hours of time and deep investment and resources to creating this incredible green resource. It should be our Central Park. It should be our High Line. It can be. And it's a lack of vision, I think, that has resulted in us even having this conversation. The work of Blue Water Baltimore, Friends of the Jones Falls Gateway Project, Greenway Trails, all of these initiatives that are investing incredible resource, time, and labor, it really felt like this was just an undermining of that incredible resource, those incredible efforts. The second thing is we're talking about imagining this being along the Falls Road. It's not only a question of increased traffic, but the type of traffic. It's going to dramatically change what the experience is along the Falls Road with trucks barreling along the side of our greenway. And then finally, and perhaps most importantly, is the ecological impact, which we've already heard about many, many times. And so I just want to say that as a college committed to vision and creativity, we can do better than this. We stand as a resource to help to hopefully enliven that creative thinking. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Tim?
My name is Tim Servey. I'm a resident of Hamden, and I bike on Falls Road at least a dozen times a week, including to get here tonight. As the world's climate is getting worse, our city needs to work hard to protect the environment. That means building more densely, making our communities more walkable and bikeable, and doing more to stop pollution. By placing transfer stations in the middle of our neighborhoods like on Sisson Street, we lose out on opportunities to build community. We lose space for homes, for grocery stores and local businesses, and for parks. It isn't fair for the rest of us to have convenience at the expense of our neighbors in Remington or in any other neighborhood. But we cannot solve that problem by putting a transfer station in a floodplain. Any bad storm could wash trash into the already degraded Jones Falls. We cannot throw away the hard work that our city has done to protect the river by turning it into a dumping ground, and I hope that the city will choose not to put cyclists like me in more danger by adding trash and traffic to the Falls Road. I do not believe that our city needs another transfer station. Cities like Philadelphia and Seattle have fewer drop-off sites per capita than we do. If we look at nearby counties, Howard County has only one drop-off site for all its residents. My preference would be to close the Sisson Street facility without replacement. But if we have to have one, the former landfill site would put it outside of neighborhoods and away from waterways. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. The next three that I have, Nathan Kane, Jan Danforth, and Katie Little. Nathan? Okay, Jan Danforth? And then Katie Little after that?
Wish I could read all this to you.
What's that?
Wish I could read everything I've prepared for you. The 2 minutes
We'll
thing is.
be happy to take any written testimony if you'd like to submit.
Yeah, will do. I think I'll start with, there's a lot of green legislation throughout the state and throughout the city. We have a green directive, I think, through the planning department as well. And what I can say about it is I noticed that there was an executive summary from the planning, I believe it was the Baltimore Green Network. You know about that. There are environmental questions about how everything's been going, and I'm just wanting to know why through all these years, I grew up in Woodbury, and we were given, before I was born, in my mother's day, the city dump. And then as we progressed through the decades, we were given, and the city dump grew illegal dumping around it. And then through the decades, skip a lot of history, we had a quarry, and we were going to turn it into another beaver dam, and it turned into a landfill. So I'm going to continue the comment as it seems to be progressing in that direction again. Stop trashing the falls. It's primitive. I was hoping to discuss a certain law that took place in the city codes. Mayor Scott signed a bill that had to do with Article 32, Title 7. Does anybody remember what that was about? What happened was there were designations about open space zoning, floodplains, and the Chesapeake Bay. Well, the Jones Falls goes through into the Chesapeake Bay. It is a tributary. There's a section in there, section 7201B6 says that the regulatory intent of that legislation was to protect and enhance natural resources, including forests, habitat, and water quality. And the other one said, 7406B, 8 and 9 said, prohibited uses in that area, the critical area, to have recycling stations and solid waste facilities in that critical area. I don't know if anyone knows this, Bill?
I'm glad you pointed it out so that we can take a look at it.
Well, the Jones Falls is a major tributary.
I'm going to give you another couple seconds because we've got to keep going.
The Jones Falls is a major tributary. The other one is that all waters of lands and Chesapeake Bay and the Atlantic coastal bays and their tributaries, all these tributaries, the Herring Run, the Stony Run, the Jones Falls, the Gwynns Falls, all of these are emptying into the harbor and then into the bay. All of this work has been done to go
You need to
towards.
wrap up if you can, please.
Towards keeping the environment healthy. And we're working against that and going backwards. This law didn't apply to us because our little areas aren't in the critical district. But I want you to see that the intent of the law, it should be extended just because we aren't right there. Our water from Jones Falls goes right into the harbor, into the Patapsco, into the bay.
Yep.
So you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Jones Falls also
I appreciate
had-
that you cited that because I want to take a look at it.
There was a park planned in 1961, and it was overturned because the Pepsi plant took over the property, and they were told that they would have jobs for everyone. And I went and interviewed them, and I said, I don't want names, I want to know how many people got into Pepsi as a job and killed that park plan. Those many years ago. There's a paper on it called The Park That Never Was, and not one, they wouldn't give me even the zip codes of the people who got employed there. They refused.
Right.
Do you think any of
Jan, we
those
have to
people
keep
got
going.
employed?
We have other people who want to speak. I really appreciate you bringing your.
You remember that?
Yeah, I do not remember that, but I'm glad that you brought it up because I would like to
Yeah.
look it up.
I
Okay?
just want to thank
Thank
all
you.
of you for listening to everyone's comments. You seem really attentive, and it seems like it's hit home for you. But I want you to extend out further to the days that we're not here any longer and what we're leaving people with.
Thank you.
And what they left us with.
Yep. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you. And you're right, this is a good group that is really taking everybody very seriously. Katie?
Yes, hello, good evening. Thank you for your time. My name is Katie Little. I'm a water resources engineer with Strawn Environmental. I'm not here on behalf of my employer, but just as a citizen. I'm a resident of Hollands Market in District 9, and I do use the Sisson Street facility because it's in a convenient location. I also drive and bike the Falls Road corridor of the Jones Falls Trail, and as many people have said, it's a primary north-south connector, and I want to echo the previous concerns about pedestrian and cyclist safety along that route if we relocated the facility there. There's also work underway for improving it as a greenway. I've attended a couple of the Weed Warriors events with Mr. Williams. I am also a certified weed warrior, but I usually focus closer to home. I really urge you not to relocate the facility to anywhere in the floodplain. I also want to urge you to think about the longer term future of the Jones Falls, because we know the JFX is nearing the end of its life, and there has been conversation about daylighting more of the river. So that's a separate conversation, but if we do manage to expand the floodplain for the health of the environment and of the community who live and work and recreate there, having a waste facility there would really be counterproductive. Finally, I couldn't hear the presentation too well in the back of the 6 alternatives, so I do hope to hear and read more about them, but I really thank you for your consideration and work on this, and I look forward to continuing the conversation.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yes, like I said earlier, the presentation will be posted, and this video is being recorded, so you can go back and listen to the presentation. Yep. Charles Duggar and Jake Tarr. Charles? Mr. Duggar?
Yes, good
Great.
evening. Thank you for this opportunity. I happen to have been listening to WYPR, and Council President Z. Cohen was on, and all of a sudden the topic came up about Sisson Street. I couldn't believe, the saying says, leave well enough alone. Said, why would you want to bother Sisson Street? Reed Bird Avenue is closed right now, right, being fixed up. You only have Bowley's Lane within Sedonia, and you have Sisson Street, right? Or you can go to the Northwest Transfer Station up at Ricestown in Garrison, where you pay $20. Sometimes we waited in line to go to Northwest Transfer Station for 3 hours, more than one occasion, to dump trash. So when you wonder why illegal dumping and so forth persists, because the city already doesn't have enough existing facilities. So leave Sisson Street alone. It's a beautiful facility. It's well managed. The people are very cooperative with you. It's very organized. You know, we have the money from this drug strategic overdose response. I think it really should be called something better than that. But take some of that money and buy more dumpsters. Claim another area where you can dump more trash. You know, I mean, this is a throwaway society. There's so much stuff that people are discarding without even thinking about it. But please leave Sisson Street alone. I don't know how many of you actually have gone there yourself, but check it out. I don't know if any of you ever go to Ricerstown and Garrison. That's a madhouse. They're trying real hard, but it's trucks, vehicles can be lined up all the way going down Wabash Avenue, waiting to get in there. You have people walking around looking for employment. We talk about the squeegee fellas. You know, at one time, the Afro newspaper had the Clean Block campaign. It was a great thing. Energize young people again to want to do things. And in conclusion, as the gentleman said some time back, Baltimore's got enough existing properties that need to be developed. Leave well enough alone. Sisson Street is a beautiful facility. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. Go ahead.
Hey, y'all. My name's Jake Tarr. Thanks for letting me come into this thing and talk. I've lived in Hamden for 10 years now. I love it here. I moved here from the county. I feel like I don't have a whole ton to add because everyone's already made such great points tonight. I think that the Sisson Street facility is awesome. I've used it very regularly since I moved here. And to compare it to other facilities in the county that I used, it is very clean and organized, and the people who work there are really awesome, really super friendly. And it is not always that way, and you know, it's nice that it feels like it's a part of the community. And obviously moving it to the Jones Falls is a huge, obvious bad idea. It's honestly kind of disappointing that it's being promoted as the main plan. Mostly for the like wildlife there. I know so many people who use it for that. I bike down that. I've used that trail for recreation and to get to work. And I think that a lot of people value it very highly for lots of reasons. Last year, I went and hung up Animal Crossing signs because I noticed that the animals were dying and people were feeling really bad about that. So I think that anything to keep the existing situation with the Jones Falls the way it is, and honestly, Jones Falls Park sounds like a great idea, and the community amenity that is the Sisson Street dump, for lack of a better word. Yeah, I think that the situation's good right now. And to be honest, Baltimore and this city doesn't owe Seawall shit. So that's really what I have to say about that. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you so much. Was there anyone that did not sign up that would like to testify? Okay. Please state your name for the record.
Hi, I'm Barbara Cates. I live in Bolton Hill in the corner that is closest to the Jones Falls. I can zip out my backyard and across the Howard Street Bridge and be right there at the Bike More shop. I hope we'll take that option off the table real fast and just be done with it. Besides its wonderful recreational value, I just have this nightmare of stuff from Sisson Street. You know, backing up against the opening to the tunnel and what will happen then. 500-year floods happen. But Sisson Street, again, if Baltimore City is serious about moving towards zero waste, if we really want to get a handle on our trash, we need Sisson Street. There might be other locations for it. Y'all might be able to figure it out. Will they be as convenient? No. They can't be. I mean, it's the Jones Falls, it's 28th and 29th. It needs to be upgraded so that it will not. There is a failure of imagination on the part of a developer who doesn't want to overlook it. There can be trees, there can be awnings, there can be murals. It can be a state-of-the-art facility that I would love to look down on from my spiffy new apartment building right there. And we need to address the issues that people in Remington have with it. But we all know that those issues are going to be wherever we bring our trash. But for the greater good of the city, I would also, oops.
You can finish up, go ahead. A couple more minutes, a couple seconds.
If you could do a survey of the people who are using Sisson Street now, where are you coming from? Where are you going? Plot the traffic. I think that would be a really valuable input to your deliberations. Thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Hi. Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak. My name is Emma Poditz. I live in Mount Vernon and I work in Woodbury on Clipper Park Road. I ride my bike and run along Falls Road every day on my way to work and back home. I'm a landscape architect and I work for an ecological design and engineering firm here in Baltimore, but I'm here representing myself. The planning decisions of the past have resulted in the degraded quality of our waterways. My work and many others' work in this room are part of the monumental task of undoing that damage and moving towards what we know to be a more livable city. That includes livability from not only an ecological standpoint, but a social and community standpoint, which is interconnected with that. Given its wide use and approval by the community, closing the Sisson Street facility would, in my opinion, itself be a wasteful effort, but moving it particularly to the Falls Road site flies in the face of everything a 21st century city knows it should be and could be. Please do not let this happen. Do not compromise all of our efforts, including ones that the city is on board with, to name a few: the Baltimore Green Network Plan, the numerous floating wetland projects in the Inner Harbor, the Stony Run Stream Restoration Project, the Middle Branch Resiliency Initiative, and many others. As an ecological restoration professional and as a person who deeply cares about this city, I would challenge you to move towards a future where community resources and life systems are respected above the whims of developers. We already know this is where we need to be proud of where we live, and I hope you help us get there. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Yes, ma'am. Matthew Schaefer, Baltimore Streetcar Museum. I'm an archivist and a librarian. We don't have any official statement. I know you guys have gotten more than enough from us on paper already. Obviously, we're opposed to the Jones Falls idea as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We're going to go to online testimony now. If you are online and you want to speak, please use what's called the raise hand, excuse me, raise hand function at the bottom, and we will call on you only if you have your hand up. Those with telephone numbers will get to you as well. Melissa Campanella, we are unmuting you now. We're working on it, Melissa. Hold on a minute.
Okay, I think you got me now.
Oh, we got it.
Hi, everyone.
Go ahead.
Thank you so much. My name is Melissa Campanella. I'm with Friends of the Jones Falls. I co-host those bi-monthly Weed Warrior parties with Mr. Williams, who testified. I also applied for and won a $36,000 Chesapeake Bay Trust grant working on invasive plants in this exact stretch and doing native replantings in the area. I echo what Lee Davis said. Hearing the proposal felt like the rug was pulled out from under us. I know that there is some hope maybe on the part of some folks that you might be able to tweak the design for the Falls Road location so that it could somehow be aligned with all of the work that we're doing. And I just want to say that it's just not possible for a trash facility in that location to enhance the work that we are trying to do. Obviously, it provides a vital service. We need people to be able to drop off things like motor oil in a place where it's handled by professionals like our DPW workers, so it doesn't get into the waterway, but it can't go to Falls Road. And I'll leave it at that so that you can hear from other folks. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, and thanks for all your work in the area. Appreciate it. Next is Jack S. You'll need to unmute yourself, Jack. Jack? There should be a button at the bottom of your screen that says unmute. No, he's right there. He's not. Try it again. We're gonna send you the, we're gonna find your name again and we're gonna send you basically what happens is that Marguerite is sending a notification to each of the participants to unmute themselves. That's how this is working. So, yes, we have to unmute you here, but we will send you a notification to unmute. So, Jack, raise your hand again, and we'll make sure that you're put back in the queue. Peter.
Hi, you all hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Hi, my name is Peter Morrill. I'm a Remington resident, live on 27th Street, very close to the dump. Appreciate the opportunity to comment. Like a lot of neighbors that have already testified here, Remington worked tirelessly on a neighborhood plan that looked at some of the best uses that we could see in our neighborhood, and I'll guarantee you that a trash transfer station is not one of them. I know it's convenient for other people in the area, but I would invite our neighbors in Charles Village or Hamden or any other surrounding neighborhood to take the transfer station to their neighborhood. Very much in favor of closure of this site. When I saw the Jones Falls plan, I was honestly flabbergasted. It's about the worst possible place to put this use. And I, for one, am very much in favor of it moving out of its current location. I would remind everyone that it's already alongside the Jones Falls, and there is very little, if any, storm water control there. So everything that's getting dropped off at that transfer station has been running into the Jones Falls for decades at this point. So I would strongly suggest that the city look into closure and improvement at other DPW locations to make it more convenient for trash to be dropped off there. I think one of the big benefits of Sisson Street now is the fact that it's a drive-up facility where you don't have to go up some rickety staircase like you see at a lot of other sites. So I hope that improvements could be made elsewhere to spread the burden of trash disposal across the other sites within the city for a fraction of the cost of what it would take to either improve Sisson Street or move it to another location. So I really hope that this panel no longer considers the Jones Falls as an appropriate place for this facility. And I really hope that we can look at increasing housing. We're desperately in need of housing in this city, as you're well aware, Councilwoman. And the opportunity to add additional housing to our neighborhood would be a huge boon for local businesses, the neighborhood, and the Jones Falls. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate your time. Sarah Rodeback?
Hi there, yep, Sarah Reichenbach, can you guys hear me?
Sarah, get a little closer to your mic. We can hear you, but very barely.
Better?
A little bit better. Go ahead.
I hope. Okay, thank you. Yeah, thank you guys for doing this. I do wish I could have come down. Unfortunately, with kids and work, I couldn't make it all the way there in person. But I am a resident right on the 500 block of 28th Street, been here for almost 10 years. And I goes without saying that the Jones Falls is not a good location to relocate this. However, that being said, I can speak on behalf, I know the majority of my immediate neighbors on this block that, you know, from our windows, from my daughter's bedroom window, I can see this transfer station, that we would absolutely prefer a alternative use of this site. And I know everybody has a lot to say, a lot of opinions on who would use this area and for what, but again, as a resident that lives right here, we welcome more neighbors, more pedestrian traffic, you know, where we can continue to raise our families. And everybody keeps talking about this site being convenient. I'm not really convenient for what? A lot of what the trash that they're talking about dropping off, we're not really supposed to be dropping off at that site. I've done home improvements, so I know, again, we've been here for 10 years, we've done a lot. And so I just think perhaps closing it until you can find somewhere else that's, you know, an improvement for the workers would be a good alternative. And yeah, I'll let somebody else go. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Steph Saxton.
Hi, Al. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, you're good. Go ahead.
Thank you all for having this tonight. Thanks everybody for coming out. I wish I could be there, but I had to work late. I am a resident of Remington. I was a resident of Charles Village for 10 years and recently became a member of Remington. And I oppose the sale of the site presently in Remington. It feels like there's reduced community power when it comes to development. I know these aren't exactly related, but to have Johns Hopkins building a really unpopular new building, the construction of seawalls, planned property that continues to change exact specifications, and now Seawall's proposed purchase of this makes it feel a little claustrophobic to be a resident at the moment, and like there's reduced community power in terms of the vision here. I have a lot of concerns about Seawall gaining another property in as much as one developer owning such a large portion of the commercial and residential real estate in one neighborhood seems to be a deep power imbalance that could threaten the prices of the air for both small business owners and residents. So for these reasons, I oppose the sale of this site. I'd prefer to, if the site isn't working, maybe closing the drop-off station, but maintaining it as public property so that we might work on a better vision for the site. And it seems to me that there is a real need for more frequent bulk and regular trash pickup across the city. And I know we're all aware of this, but that might be another discussion at a greater citywide level. But thanks again all for having this.
Thank you so much for taking the time with us. Appreciate it. Christine Hart. Christine Hart, we sent you a notification to unmute. Christine, if you're having trouble unmuting, go ahead and put your hand back up and we'll get you back in the queue, okay? Kate Gunterman?
Yes.
Kate, go ahead, Kate.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for holding this, and I wish I could be there in person. I'm very concerned about wanting to move this to the Lower Falls Road area. That's the first road that I discovered in Baltimore when I moved here 30 years ago. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna love it here. It's one of the most beautiful corridors we have in the city. But for moving a dump there, there is no east-west access. It has a very, very long, winding road from the north and from the south, but it's a really horrible location when it comes to accessibility. The fact, like when I first moved here, that was a cruising spot for gay men, and the bike path was moved in. There was all of the ecological things that were done with bringing in the herons, the two nests, and now there's I think it's, I don't remember how many nests there are now, but anyway, we've made so many wonderful improvements in that area. I used to need to ride my bike up and down it multiple times every day and walk. I don't, now I've moved to Hamden and I still use it regularly to go into the city. For people without cars and for people who love nature, and especially for bikers, it's a really important, precious gem in Baltimore. And I know you've heard a lot about that, but I'm just really concerned that we're going to lose this. It's one of, what we need to be doing is investing in more places which are free and accessible to everybody, irregardless of class, race, gender, orientation. You know, it's a community resource. It's something that we should be encouraging people to utilize it as the natural resource it is, rather than turning it into something that's going to have trucks barreling down it and making it more dangerous for us. Anyway, I'll leave this here. Thank you for letting me speak. I really appreciate this hearing. And
Thank you, Kate. Appreciate it. Thank you so much. Christine got back in the queue, so we'll go with Christine Hart. You should be unmuted.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, we got you now.
Great, thank you. I'm actually a new resident to Baltimore as of last year. And welcome. Choice had to do about moving here from the West Coast had to do with the greenery being close in to the city. A lot of cities, the only greenery is far out. You have to drive far away to get it. It was a major reason why I came here, and the shade. If you do anything to worsen the traffic on the Jones Fall Road, we're damaging a significant cooling corridor in the summer. We need all of the areas that we possibly can to keep our streets as cool as possible. And a lot of people, because of its central location, go there. I help out on the Jones Fall cleanups, and the people, the variety of people that come and use it already, it's great. A lot of people know about it and they use it. Keep it green and keep it cool, and capitalize on the natural characteristics of these river valleys that provide an interest and characteristics for businesses and reuse of old buildings. It's fabulous. It's a lot of great things here about Baltimore. These other sites, I have to tell you, some people may think the Sisson site is convenient and sensible and working. That whole area, I'm in with the Remington people that have said, please take some of those functions and move them away, or simplify and clarify what the purposes are. It does not seem to be a great location. It's confusing about what you can leave there and what you can't. I understand and agree and see regularly in my volunteer time the amount of trash that doesn't get left there that gets in the other areas close by. Thank you. Please don't take it down to the Jones Falls.
Thank you so much, Christine. I appreciate your patience with us on our technology also. Zachary Eaton. We're sending you a notification to unmute yourself.
Hi, yeah, thanks much. So I lived in Remington for 2 years. I've now been over in Harwood for 2 years. Used the Sisson Street spot quite a bit. I'd like to, not much to say to add to my friends in the room, Pierce and Ema. But yeah, I think that Jones Falls is a terrible place, as many folks have been saying. I don't have any trouble with the Sisson Street location. Of course, I understand that no one particularly wants, a trash depot in their neighborhood. Unfortunately, it is already there, and I doubt anyone else is going to volunteer to take it. Anyways, thanks again for holding this. Really appreciate it.
What's all this empty land in Baltimore?
Thank you
There's
so
land all
much.
over the city.
Hold on one second, Christine. Hold on. Just go ahead and take her off.
I come from LA. There's land all over Baltimore. Ridiculous.
There you go. Okay. Okay. Aaron Miller. Looks like we just have a few more to go. Go ahead, Aaron.
Yes, hello. Just briefly, it would be one of the more foolish acts possible.
Aaron, if you're speaking and we cannot hear you, can you get a little closer to your mic?
Can you hear me?
A little bit better now.
Just briefly, don't put the dump in the stream. That would be foolish. I yield the balance of my time.
Thank you, sir. Tracy M. Tracy? Tracy, if you're speaking, we can't hear you. So what we're going to do is raise your hand again so we can put you back in the queue. And we'll go to Jessa Baker Moss. Jessa? We sent you a notification to unmute. Okay, if you'd like to speak, please raise your hand again and we'll get you back in the queue, okay? I see Tracy's there now. Tracy, go ahead. Tracy, you should be unmuted. There you go.
I thought I was. Hey, you hear me?
Yes, now we can.
Yay, okay, I'll be quick also. Yeah, please don't put a dump transfer station, storage unit, whatever you want to call it. Just please don't put it in a floodplain, specifically not Jones Falls. And when ideas like this come up again, try to remember the community and that a lot of us, it was very insulting to think that we'd find any positives from this. I'm agnostic about keeping Sisson or moving it. I see both sides to that, but you're putting it in a floodplain, and to whoever brought up that his 4th and 5th graders knew better, I think others who came up with this idea probably should have too. But thank you for your time tonight.
Thank you so much, and thanks for your patience with us. Corey Jennings?
Hi, thank you. Can you hear me?
You're breaking up a little bit.
Hello?
We're breaking up a little bit.
Okay. Hold on one second.
Go ahead.
You could come back to me if there's someone else.
No, keep going. Go ahead. We can hear you.
Okay, sorry, thank you. Thank you for I appreciate the option to share virtually. Really appreciate that the council and the city holds these kinds of meetings accessible for all. I really just want to reiterate the comments from fellow Remington neighbors that the current site is clearly not the best use of that land. You know, when this site was put there initially, the Sisson Street Park had not been created. Many other community assets that exist now through hours and hours of community work to improve the pedestrian and walkability of our neighborhood were not there. So I understand the folks that say it's there, it should stay there. But I will note that our community did not directly initiate this process. And as it is an open process now, I ask that we close it. And if there is not the political or other will to close it and improve the other stations, that at bare minimum, Remington be put on equal footing with other communities and not thought of as just the de facto community for a transfer station, as that is not a fair or equal process. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Corey. It looks like Jessica back in the queue. Go ahead, Jessa. You should be unmuted.
Yes, hi there. Thanks
Hi.
so much for hearing me out. I'll try to be short, but I've been in the corner of North Calvert and North Avenue for 9 years now, and I just wanted to add in, everyone keeps saying nobody wants this in their community. I actually thought the North Howard and the 25th Street location sounded fine to me. That's pretty close to where I live, and it seemed like it was centrally located and a little bit bigger, and the only drawback to it was that the MTA is using it for buses, as far as I understood. So I wanted to throw that out there. So it's really all of these different questions. Should we close Sisson Street? Should it be bought by Seawall? I say no to that. I don't want to see private developers gentrifying Remington, but also I understand if Remington community wants to shut down the site there, that's fine. But we really can't be having any of these conversations about where else to move the location if we're stuck on this Jones Falls issue, which it seems very clear everyone in the city is very against. So I just really don't understand why it's still being brought to the table even as an option. I really hope that I will attend the next meeting and that we won't be hearing about it as an option then, because it's really just detracting from the more important conversation that we could have about finding a solution, when clearly that is not the solution. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate your time and working with us here. Jennifer Coons.
Hey, yeah, Jennifer Kunze. I'm the Maryland Organizing Director at Clean Water Action. And I just wanted to bring to the task force some of the opportunities with this conversation to advance the city's zero waste work. Whether the site stays at Sisson Street, whether it moves somewhere else, not on the Falls Road, thinking big about this could really significantly advance waste diversion in the city. In two main ways I want to talk about tonight. Back in 2020, the city adopted the Less Waste, Better Baltimore Master Plan that a lot of us put a lot of work into making public comments on and shaping it to be better. And in the recycling and diversion options chapter of this plan, that's all about how can we divert more waste, how can we get to the point of shutting down Bresco. One of the 5 sections in the recycling and diversion options chapter is titled Upgrading Residents Drop-Off Centers. And it talks about how the city could upgrade the 5 of them to accept additional recyclable and donatable materials by setting up just, roll-off containers and setting up the programmatic and programs and recycling contracts to make that possible. Some of that work's been done. The city did launch mattress recycling, for example, but there's a lot more ground that could be covered. And this is actually one of the lower cost action items in the Less Waste, Better Baltimore plan, which estimates that just $360,000 annually in the operating budget and a $325,000 capital investment would get it done. And just by doing that, it would derive 16,000 tons of waste diversion, getting it out of the stream to Bresco, which would reduce 25,000 metric tons of CO2 equivalent greenhouse gas emissions. So that's really, it's one of the smaller actions inside of Less Waste, Better Baltimore, but it really is significant. One other consideration, if one of the larger sites, again, not on Falls Road, is picked, there's a huge opportunity to solve one of the city's other big problems on zero waste advancement, which is composting. Right now, the city is working on a 4-acre site on Bowley's Lane that, once it's fully built out, can do 24,000 tons a year of organic waste processing. But that's only about a quarter of what the city needs to build. So the Less Waste, Better Baltimore plan calls for building multiple facilities just like that. And if the city decides to acquire a larger site to move the drop-off center, that could be the second, or depending on timing, the third site for the city's next composting facility. So just want the task force to think big about some of the ways that this could drive environmental justice for the whole city. Thanks.
And also, just Jennifer, thank you. Did you say Bullies Lane? Was that the site that you were talking about?
That's the site that's currently being worked on to be the first compost facility.
Yes, okay. We just missed that part, so I just wanted to make sure that we heard that properly for you. Yep, thanks so much for bringing that to our, to review in our attention. So that's who we have signed up and who has raised their hand online. The hour is getting late, so I do appreciate that everyone has come here today and made a effort to be online as well. This is a couple of things as we get ready to close. I want to thank task force members for staying and for listening. I think that was valuable information. I want to ask that if you have some specific questions that you want information about from the mayor's office or DPW, send those over to myself or Dana as we prepare for the next meeting. And that way we can have a productive discussion. I'm going to resurrect the Less Waste, Better Baltimore plan so we can look at that. I do actually have 2 zero waste bills that are pending. It's taken me a minute to get them, but I'm working on it. And the council has made composting a big priority. So, and I also want to say that we do have a list of stakeholders that we're planning on inviting to our meetings, but we want to really take a look at some of these sites, have a clear discussion around the possibility of building out the other current sites and what we can do there. So I'm going to bring this to a close and ask task force members to just send in their comments as we look at planning the next meeting. The next meeting will be Monday, November 10th. And it will be in the evening after the city council meeting. We will announce the time as well as the location at our very, very soon so that we can plan accordingly. Thank you all, and we're in recess.